Ever wish you had someone to tell you the truth about what it takes to run a successful business and live a fulfilling life? Well, amiguita, you've come to the right place. So grab your favorite cafecito or cocktail, your courage, and let's get to work. I'm Janessa Borges, a therapist, business strategist, mindset coach for entrepreneurs, and a feisty Latina from Miami. And I'm determined to teach you the exact tools you need to stop settling and start kicking some serious derriere. What do you say? Are you in? Then let's get started. Welcome to Latinas Empowering Latinas podcast. Well, hello there. It has been a little bit since you heard from me one-on-one, and today I want to go down memory lane. It has been a really long time since I've been in school. A little bit of personal information is I'm a little bit of a hoarder. I tend to keep things that comes from my mom. I'm sure it's cultural. That's for a different episode. But I was purging some of my information and I came across an old folder from when I was at New York University. And I like to keep a lot of my work, especially if I loved the class or I really was proud of the paper, the feedback from the professors, and just to be able to kind of go back as a journal and see how far I've grown professionally and personally throughout the years. So this particular entry is from a course, Ethnocultural Issues in Social Work, and this was from September of 2003. Bear with me as I kind of take you back. Here we go. I felt a little nervous today in class. Ethnocultural Issues in Social Work was my first class at New York University. Although the school is huge in comparison to what I'm used to, I'm delighted to be around so many different people from different parts of the world, different cultures and customs, ages and stages in life. Everyone at NYU has been so helpful, from the admissions office to the professors and even the students. I'm excited because I know that being around these individuals will make this learning experience a life lesson. What better place to start off than in a class that focuses on learning and counseling different cultures? I was born and raised in Miami, Florida, and as most people assume, I'm Cuban American that is. My parents were both born in Cuba. My mom came to the United States when she was 18 months old, and my dad came from Cuba when he was 13 years old. They were both raised in the Ironbound section of Newark, New Jersey, where they met and later moved to Miami, where I came into the picture. In Miami, there is not only an influx of immigrants from South America and the islands, but of Cubans. In fact, Miami resembles an extension of Cuba, from bodegas, local markets, botanicas, spiritual stores, peluquerias, family-owned hairdressers, lechoneras, pork roasting shops, and many more things that do not even seem non-usual because I was raised with them. The first time I can recall being different was my first year in college. Talk about culture shock. I cannot even explain exactly how I felt. People started pointing out my accent, my clothes, the food I ate and craved. I felt like I was from another planet, and I felt frustrated because I could not identify with others or my environment. No one understood how I felt or expressed myself, and my family at home thought it was just homesickness. Looking upon it now, it seems no less frustrating. I just learned how to let my culture resound within and live it, letting others appreciate the difference I contributed. Both present and past experiences are the source of people's responses to difference, according to Pinder Hughes. This particular quote made me realize how much impact our past and socializing skills affect our actions and views now. It was not until I went away to college that I realized how I had adopted and internalized my parents' point of views, politics, prejudice, actions, and beliefs in general. I had integrated into my brain bank. It was very difficult, and I'm still in the process of establishing my own beliefs. However, it is very real to perceive elders as all-knowing and disregard their imperfections. I wonder to what extent I have been trained and just how long it will take to erase the tape. September 9, 2003. A child in my family culture is expected to speak only when spoken to, respect their elders and older siblings, to follow all the rules, customs, and beliefs that are not only part of the culture, but part of that family. Anything that falls outside of expectations that are just understood and expected is a disgrace and ungrateful action to all that your family has provided for you. I cannot answer why. It is just expected and it is never questioned. Punishment consists of spanking, usually with an object. Small children are always scared of the belt, yelling, and a dissertation on how horrible and disrespectful your actions were. Reward in our culture is rarely verbal and most often supplied through shelter, food, and safety. Our parents see our reward as our education and the opportunities that they strive to provide for us, regardless of all the sacrifices they make. We are their reward. September 16, 2003. I always considered my family to be all those who are blood related and whomever they are married to. I have a few friends that I consider to be like family and a few longtime family friends and a best friend that I mention and refer to as my uncle and sister. It's difficult to define membership in my family and the rules that pertain. In my family, women do not leave the home unless they are married, even if they are 45 and single. Unless they have a church wedding, it is not considered family. There are a few black sheep that live with boyfriends and have children and never marry, and they are always spoken badly about. It is seen as a disgrace. In fact, when I went away to college, my grandmother was so offended that I was leaving to college with all the colleges available in the area that she literally called me a cualquiera, which means a person who is loose, low, and dirty, among other things. I'm not sure who made them up, but they're just understood, and one learns by hearing of the blasphemy that is from elders. Even when younger, you just know what is done and what is out of the question. Expectations of members of the family are always to sacrifice for the other members, to attend all family functions, to uphold and keep sacred the family name. When I was younger, I remember my father giving me a talk and him saying, "I'm going to tell you. My father told me that he and his father's father worked very hard to uphold the sanctity and honor of their name. It is not what you have, but what you stand for, what you believe in, and how you behave. I was made to promise and uphold this honor. You are obliged to do the same. I never did anything to taint this. All of your actions, whether your choice affects us and the name you carry it with respect. If you do anything to ruin our name," and then silence. I don't remember the end of that conversation, but it was just understood, and my stomach trembled when he spoke these words. Another entry, no date. I would consider my family extremely hardworking, middle class. We're not rich and we're not poor, but we're very proud of what we have and taught not to gloat. We appreciate what we have, and although we're aware that there are people that are better off than we are, we also realize that there are also people that wish they had what we have. In writing it, it sounds a bit awkward to me, but quite simply, it's an appreciation for what we have and an appreciation of those around us. If someone has, we are happy for them, and if they have not, we help them if we can. Both sets of my grandparents came to the United States with a language barrier, and all skill they had was not credible for them to work in what they did in Cuba, or their professions were. They were all forced to work in factories and have multiple jobs to provide for their family. It has instilled in us a pride in what we do, regardless of what it may consist of. Not taking pride in what you do and not giving 110% is considered lazy and a disgrace. Although we're very proud and hard workers, education is also very important. Education is seen as an opportunity that is allotted to my generation that was not readily available for my grandparents when they first arrived because they needed to provide among all else. It allows for us to represent our culture and our families, providing a better life for those who come after us, a legacy to leave behind. The goal is to always provide for the family and make sure that with every generation, adelantamos, which means we advance, we progress, and succeed in doing so with pride. I have no doubt that the values in regards to socioeconomic class will benefit me while I am in practice, because I'm aware of the technicalities of having to provide for one's family. I think it'll definitely benefit me when I'm working with minorities, especially immigrants, because I'm not blind to the sacrifices that were made in order for me to be where I am today. Week 8. In thinking about a race culture outside of my own, the race I am most familiar with is that of the African Americans. I see them as a race that has survived the test of time. They were ripped from their native lands, their families placed on ships, forced to be a slave to the white man in an unfamiliar world, where they were abused and mistreated due to the color of their skin. They survived the horrendous conditions in travel, determined to survive the servitude they were bound to, fought for their freedom, lived through segregation, and strived to be equal to the race that captured them. I believe they value and take pride in the evolution that they have undergone from their ancestors to Martin Luther King, to well-known and talented performers and individuals such as Maya Angelou, and on to generations of family members that have accomplished so much, making the dream of freedom and equality a reality. There are undoubtedly barriers that attempt to stand in the way of African Americans to be all that they can be. I can only imagine being judged by the color of my skin, even within my own race, if I am lighter or darker, instead of being judged for who I am and what I've accomplished. It is a daunting task to face on a daily basis. Unfortunately, while ignorance remains so to will prejudice and unjust treatment. I, however, can only begin to imagine how much sweeter it is to succeed and to become an individual who has surpassed so many tribulations and be an example to all, both to those within my race, to prove that it is attainable, and to show those outside of my race that color is merely a distraction that blinds those who do not know any better. Being Cuban is such an honor to me because it is a culture that is so rooted in their past and in their island that it's the foundation for morals, values, family, relationships, work ethic, religion, and every aspect of one's daily life. Being Cuban is being proud of who you are and where you come from. Tradition drives the passion, but at the same time, that very tradition can be the cause of stagnation when it pertains to evolving with generations and evolving with the times, especially when living in the United States. Trying to break the mold in a positive light is a challenge because there are certain traditions that are so ingrained, the thought of changing them is considered blasphemy and a disgrace, such as moving out of the house when I'm married, purposely having a child out of wedlock as a single mother, pursuing a career that is associated with men, etc. It's a challenge. However, the drive that is rooted in me provides me with the tools to succeed at whatever I set my mind to achieve. There's one incident when I was younger that stands out in my head. My parents, my brother, and I were on a family vacation, and my mother went into the hotel to check us in for the week. And when I wanted to go in with her, my father told me I could not. My mother is very fair-skinned with light green eyes and blonde hair, while my father and I are of olive complexion with jet black hair and the darkest hue of brown eyes one can imagine. I was upset, and then he explained to me, if you go down with mommy, they're going to think that we are Black and that we'll be disorderly, and they might either deny us occupation or raise our rate. I just recall my reaction being in shock. However, at my age, I accepted his explanation and even proceeded to tell him to lower his hand so the hotel staff could not see it and act as he had stated. To this day, I don't understand why he told me what he did or why he felt compelled to share that with me, although I was no more than 8 years old. I wonder what kind of discrimination, whispers or faces, my mother and him had endured when they were together. This very emotional review of this journal, and I know it may have sounded kind of redundant to you guys, is so very real, and so much of what I read still resounds today. And I'm proud to say that a lot of the reflections I had, in 2003, I was 22. I was about to turn 23, but what I had experienced, what I had lived, and I thought I was so sheltered, and to a lot of degree I was, but I know that I've grown. I know that I'm still always trying to break the mold. I know that I have a voice and I share it here with you, and I give my voice and this platform to others to share their stories. I know that we haven't even begun to break what we have to break insofar as a society with discrimination and color and culture. I know that tradition is something that holds us and is beautiful, but something that also can hold us back. So I try my best to keep what serves me and provides growth while trying to grow past the things that I know are limiting. And I try my best to teach my kids to treat everybody with love and respect, regardless of their color or their height or their culture or their language or their accent or their limitations or their challenges or their differences, whether they look perfectly perfect to them or they're perfectly imperfect. And I hope that my journey teaches my children to improve the world around them, even if it's just being kind to their classmates. I hope you enjoyed this personal insight from a 22-year-old, soon-to-be therapist at that point. And I'm proud to say that I know I've broken the mold in several places in my career and being a business owner and being a brown Latina woman owner of her own businesses. And I will continue to break the mold as long as I live. And I encourage you to break the mold in your society too. I'll see you next time.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I am so excited you tuned in. The best way to find out the second a new episode is released and receive all the valuable tools and actionable steps I share is to subscribe to the podcast, so make sure you do that. Sending you so much love until next time.